If you would like to be bolder in the new year, and if you'd like to have more fun and be more self-accepting, you could do a lot worse than look to the example of the Irish wren, Andrúlín. There is a lot of folklore associated with the wren, but I'll say it's a sort of unlikely candidate for boldness. First of all, it's associated with smallness. It's tiny size, and if you don't know what a wren looks like, I encourage you to look it up. Some people call it a teacup of a bird. It's tiny, and in fact, one saying is "Mún Andrúlín sanarige," basically a wren's pea in the sea, meaning that amounts to nothing. It's nothing. There's also an association between the wren and silliness, and in fact, if you call something drolín sports, it means a wren of a sport, and that's an object of ridicule. There's also the related word drolan, which means a wren or a silly person, and drolanacht, which means silliness. But for all of that, the wren is considered, in Ireland as in many European countries, wren-hood, the king of the birds. So today I want to share some Irish folklore around the wren with you, all with an eye to emboldening you to have more fun and to fly higher in this new year. So fáilte a chairde, welcome my friends. I'm so glad we're together today as ever. I so enjoy your community participation, your comments. It's marvelous. My name is Kate, and like all of you, I am a multi-passionate creator. I love making things, and I'm also a professor of Irish language and folklore, and I love the way these come together to help us live more joyfully. So good. So the wren there's so much association, so much folklore associated with the wren, and I'm just going to dip in a little bit. But first, I do want to tell you one of the most important stories about the wren. Fado, fado. Now, pay no mind to the kittens who are activated right now, probably by the idea of a bird. Fado, fado in Éireann. Once, long ago in Ireland, all the birds came together to decide who would be the king. Now, I want you to imagine it. There were the great big raptors, right? The hawks and the eagles and the goshawks and all of the great big ones. And there were the owls, and there were the cranes and the egrets, the seabirds and the seagulls, and there were the smaller songbirds, every bird right down to the wren. And they decided that how they would decide who would be the king is they would fly straight up toward the sun, and whoever could fly the highest would be the king. And so off they went, and just imagine this feathery column of birds rising into the blue sky, making for the sun, a kind of arrow of bird kind. And of course, it wasn't long until the small songbirds dropped away. They just didn't have the wingspan for it. And it was down to the owls and the hawks and the eagles and the great seabirds. And it wasn't long after that that the owls dropped away and the seabirds dropped away. And finally, it was down to the hawk and the eagle. But the eagle, you know, is so powerful, that those mighty wings. And he went just a little higher, and the hawk dropped down, and the eagle looked fit to win, when out from underneath his wing, his plumage, popped the wren, who flew just that much higher, almost to the sun, and was crowned the king of the birds, wren-hood. So the wren is a trickster, for sure. The wren is, you know, there's isfarvi glick na ladger is a proverb. It's better to be clever than strong. Or matatu beg, kahituve glick. If you're little, you must be strong. You must be clever. Cleverness is prized, and the wren is clever. He's also, though, associated with tricksiness outside of this. For one thing, he's got a large family. He's known, and this is true actually, the wren has a large brood, I suppose you would say, of babies, of hatchlings, sometimes 11 or 12 of them. And they're also known to like, and this is a real life thing of the wren, they're known to like to huddle together. And I actually read that as many as 17 wrens have been spotted huddling together in a single nest when the weather is very cold. So they love to come together, and they have these big broods of wren babies. Well, fado fado in Erin, vi an drolin an Uruwain. Once, long ago in Ireland, there was a wren, and he was having a dispute with a stone chat, that's another bird, called Marine, who lived next door to him. And it got to be so intense that he injured her. And she complained to her husband, Donnacha, the male stone chat. And Donnacha wanted to bring an action of law against the drolin, against the wren. And so he turned up at his house one day, and he looked inside, and the wren was threshing wheat with his 12 sons. And they all looked identical. And Donnacha wasn't sure how he was going to know which wren was the father so that he could present him with his case and drag him into the court of law. And he watched them for a while, and it seemed impossible, but an idea occurred to him. And so he just called out sort of generally, "Boy, old man, you really can do the threshing. You know what, no matter what they say about you, you are a powerhouse. You've got this." And the drolin could not prevent himself from puffing up his little chest and saying, "You are right. Even though these young striplings think that they can take me on, I'm still the man here. I'm the man." And just then, that's when Donnacha said, "Now I've got you. Now I know who you are. And I'm going to present this I suppose, summons to the court to you." Well, just then the drolin said to his sons, "In it, lads. Let's go into it." And so they all dove headfirst into the pile of wheat that they had been threshing. And they popped up, just their heads, identical. And no matter what Donnacha tried, he could never get the father of the wrens, the one guilty, to declare himself. And so he had to go away disappointed. Now that is a typical wren story. Tricksiness, also the big family, taking refuge with each other. Also a little bit of brashness. The wren is brash. Now the wren is associated with, I'm sure many of you have heard of the wren boys, buachli and drolin, and that they go around on St. Stephen's Day hunting the wren, at least they used to. Nowadays, mostly they just use like a little wren statue. But when these wren boys were asked why did they hunt the wren and perform this St. Stephen's Day ritual, they said, a lot of them would say, well, because the wren gave away St. Stephen. So the old story that goes back to actually Roman times is that St. Stephen was hiding in a bush when the Roman soldiers were going by and they were looking for him, and that the wren made all of this ruckus and was flitting about so much around the bush that their attention was drawn to it, and they found St. Stephen and martyred him. Now the wren is also supposed to have betrayed Jesus in some stories, and even the Irish hero Finn McCool. So he is a complicated little thing. So as I say, he's tricky. He's known as a bit of a betrayer, a loudmouth, a braggart. He can't help himself. There is even in the 9th century, the Sanas Cormac, which is Cormac's glossary from the 9th century, the wren is mentioned as being associated with the Druids. In fact, Cormac says that the name wren means druid bird. Now, we don't really know that. It's possible that the wren's name actually comes from an old word for jumping, which is possible as well. So he's also mystical. And finally, I want to give you one last thing. I made this myself. So this is a proverb. I painted this, and again, I'm no great shakes as a painter, but I just wanted to show you. Again, I like messing around. This is a proverb. Is lure dan drolin anyad, which means to the wren, her nest is enough, or his nest, it could be either one. Is lure dan drolin anyad, to the wren, his or her nest is enough. And so there's home love on top of it. So all of that together, and that is really just a skimming. There's so much more to say. And there's much more to say about hunting the wren and the wren processions on St. Stephen's Day. But I'll leave that for another day. But just to say, just taking it all in, right? So the wren is associated with smallness, with silliness, with betrayal, with being loud, and in some ways, I guess you could say, in the wrong, having a big family, and also mysticism, if you will, if we want to include the Druids here, and loving home and loving family. So when we take all of this, again, contradictory, but sort of wonderful folklore together, I'm reminded, frankly, of us, human beings, in all our quirk and paradox and mess, but also vitality. And I think that's something I really love about the wren. So I want to just give you a couple ideas of how we could maybe take a leaf out of the wren's book for the new year. First thing is, don't dismiss what's small, especially your own efforts, especially your own power and creativity. You know, here is the wren. The wren is sort of the poster child, if you will, for going up against the large, the grand, the mighty, the machine, in a way, and showing us actually that the small can make a difference. That's us, and that's each one of us, right? It's so easy to tell the story, I'm just one person, it doesn't matter, or this is just one thing, or this is just 5 minutes of music, or any of those dismissive, small-making things. This is just whatever. Let's not do that. Let's not dismiss what's small. Actually, let's see the power and the potential in what's small. Use everything you've got. Now, the wren is, as I say, sort of a massive contradictions, but I would say the defining quality of the wren really is vitality, a kind of humor, and also like ambition and a desire to be in the action. All of those things. Let's not spend time trying to correct ourselves. Not that we let ourselves be mean or cruel. I don't mean that, but look to our strengths instead of to our weaknesses. Make the most of what we have, rather than correcting perceived weaknesses or flaws or whatever. Let's be like the wren in that and say, you know what? Here's me, and I am clever. I'm going to use that. Or I am kind. I'm going to lead with that. Or I am really creative. I'm going to lead with that. So use what you've got. Third thing, you're not alone. Look at these stories of the wren with his 12 sons, the wren huddling together with 16 other wrens when it's too cold out. You're not alone. I would say we're all wrens. We're all a mass of contradictions. We're all ambitious and mystical and silly and funny and pretty amazing. Let's be together. Let's help each other. Let's rely on each other. Let's see the quirk in ourselves and each other and kind of enjoy it. So you're not alone. And finally, love your nest. Your nest. Celebrate your life. There is so much to celebrate. So I'd love to ask you this week, which of these aspects of the wren do you most powerfully identify with? And which of these lessons do you want to help spur you to fly higher and have more fun and be bolder in the new year? I would love to see your comments. Thank you in advance. I love what you share. If you haven't, please do subscribe and join our little tribe of wrens over here. And please do like the video because that helps me so much. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope you have a week in which you feel true to yourself and bold and having fun, really. I'll see you next week.